everyone, and welcome to another episode on Usually Fixing and Tinkering, and I am in a completely different location doing a completely different episode. There is no point in MOT in a Focus when I've just paid a full month of tax on this thing, and my goodness me, the tax is expensive. Tax on Mark 1s is getting really steep. So I've made the opportunity of a very, very sunny Saturday, 2 days after the MOT, and I've gone and taken it on a drive. I need to give it its run out, just to bed everything in a little bit more, and just to make sure that everything is working correctly. But the main thing with a Mark 1 is actually driving one, and finding a good location to drive one is getting incredibly difficult. Although I would say Mark 1s are most suited to the A and B roads especially. That's where they really do home in. They're not cars, they're not cruisers, they're not cars for going in straight lines on the motorway monotonously. They are meant for the A and B roads, the twists, the country lanes, the hills, the down slopes. It's everything that I was grown up to believe in what a Mark 1 should be used as, especially the Colin McRae aspect. So without further ado, 50 Shades of Panther Black in this underpass, which is why it's quite noisy down here, but she's looking fantastically well. And disc brakes have cleared up a little bit now. I've just given the outside a bit of a clean. I tell you what, this didn't need much of a clean whatsoever. But the interior is really, really nice and tidy. The one thing I will say, that I haven't actually driven this car properly in 6 months. And after particularly driving the 45 and Ruby a couple of times, getting back into this has really made me think differently about how the car drives. It drives exactly the same as it is always done, but because I've taken a bit of time away, the longest amount of time I've taken without driving this car ever, I've come back to the car and I think suddenly it feels 20 years old in a good way. It feels comfortable, classical, nothing connected to what you associate with modern cars, and still incredibly dynamic for its age, and that's what you want from a Mark 1. You cannot expect a Mark 1 to work like a modern Ford Focus or operate like one, because that would be horrible. No offence to Mark 3, 4 Focuses, they don't touch this. Not for fun. This is like a go-kart. It's like a peppy little go-kart compared with the heavy cars that followed it. And that's why a lot of people are now going back to Mark 1 Focuses as an actual modern classic to own, as a second car. And I don't blame them, because, well, there's a bit of a rush. Anyway, I'm going to get this car out on the road, and we're going to have a little drive. Little disclaimer before I start, actually. I'm going to attach the GoPro to 2 or 3 different places. I'm going to have a bit of a mess around today, so it might not be as coordinated as what the video would actually depict, but I'll find out in the edit how difficult it is to actually make it into a coherent video. But I'm going to try some experiments, see how it works. But anyway, I'm going to get started, and it'll be after the MOT, I had a bit of a play around. Some of you commented that you really enjoyed the drive after the MOT with the GoPro on the side. Well, we're going to have more of it today, because we're going down the countryside and we're going to take a journey that I used to take in this car 10 years ago when I still lived at my parents', and these local country lanes are very well known to me. And I literally used to take this drive randomly. My parents would ask, "Where are you going? You going to the shops?" "No, just going for a drive." This is one of them cars that you could just take for a drive, because the drive is the experience, not where you're going. And I'm going to do the same again for the first time in many years. Long time coming. Come on. might think this is a bit weird, me talking to you from inside the car with the camera pointing outwards, but actually, considering that at the moment I only have one camera, I thought it'd be better to stick the camera on the outside of the car and listen to me as a commentary. I thought that would be rather better, actually. But yes, I'm just building up speed now, just to get on the dual carriage. Well, I've got to... Oh, blimey, this is where it gets nervous for me and this damn GoPro. Right, if it goes now, I'm in blooming trouble. Oh, dearie me. I need some disposable GoPros, but it just comes straight off. Fantastic. A lot of the roads today are going to be A and B roads of a twisty, bendy nature. It is a relatively dry morning, so see that engine rev. Hopefully I'll be able to adjust the microphone, and while the experiment is chucking the microphone in the engine bay, which I'm going to do in a bit. But I thought I'd let you enjoy some of the views, and at least you can see the car, not me. I think most of you are sick and tired of looking at me in the interior of my own car. Oh, this is delightful. So this is nice 60 mile an hour country. I'm doing about 45. I'm taking it easy. It just eats this stuff like porridge for breakfast. Now that's a dreadful metaphor, but you get the picture. The car gives you every confidence that no matter what bend you're going to take, you're just going to continuously hold on to it, no matter how sharp. I think the only time I've lost this car in 11 years of driving, yes, it's the 1.6 auto, we're not talking about massive performance here, was on a very wet day with shockingly bad budget tyres, which were low on tread anyway. Took a sharp corner at more than what I care to say was the safe speed limit, put it that way, or marginally anyway. And unfortunately, yes, I span all the way around. Luckily there was no car near me, or else that'd have been it for the end of this car. But apart from that, I've never had any worries about this car losing grip, being marginal on anything in terms of the dynamics of holding down itself on the road with consummate ease. Look at the views. Gorgeous. Just consummately doing 40 miles an hour around these bends. Most cars wouldn't dare do that sort of speed around such sharp corners. The camera really doesn't show this, but yeah, it's been a while since I've been down here, and it's fun, and that's what driving these cars should all be about. Fun. They're not the most firm, they're not the most, I don't think they're as pointy as later cars that replace them. That's just sumptuous, absolutely sumptuous. These tyres are superb. These Roadstone Eurovis tyres, they are absolutely superb. In fact, I would recommend it as one of the go-to tyres for a Mark 1, whatever the size of tyre that you require, whether it's a 14, 15 or a 16 like this, or even a 17. Although I'm not quite sure if they do them in 17s. Really get that much pitch and bounce with the suspension. Actually, there's no real you just don't feel that there's any sort of looseness between the suspension and the body. It's all one unit. You can still get that with independent rear suspension on quite a few cars, where it still doesn't feel quite joined up, even though it's meant to be. It's incredible, but this added quite a lot of money. The rear suspension added quite a sum total to the final bill per car, but Richard Parry-Jones thought it was worth including. And goodness me, I think if the Focus didn't have independent rear suspension and maybe a torsion beam, I don't think it would be as revered as much as what it is, because half of what makes it what it is that superb driving experience. And if you don't have that as much, for instance, it just handles similar to the equivalent Fiesta, then what's the point? Listen to that. So smooth through this automatic gearbox. People are not really in favour of automatics in general, but if you are curious about owning an automatic, particularly an automatic Mark 1, please don't be put off. It's absolutely superb. There's nothing to go wrong with this gearbox, really. There's only a few things to be aware about, and that really is solenoids. There's about 6 of them in the sump, and sometimes 1 or 2 of them have a habit of packing up, but it's very easy to change, and they're not ridiculously hard to find. Aftermarket ones are very available, and what you do get is a very relaxed driving experience, a very sluggish one. I mean, the speed of this car, 0 to 60, I don't really do 0 to 60 on this channel for a few good reasons. Mainly all the cars I own, well, that's what they produced on the book, driven by a test driver without any weight in the back. The usual statistic is, well, for the automatic, 0 to 60 in 12 seconds. The manual version is 11 seconds, or 10.9, I believe, if you want to really get correct on that one. Which is a great deal. It's 1 second, but I don't really care for that, because you don't drive an automatic to compare the 0 to 60. I really don't think that's appropriate, nor is the MPG. You drive an automatic because it's smooth and it's more relaxed, and you just take the fact that it's a bit slower, a bit more thirsty as a given. Yeah, that was rather interesting. I'm now going to put the microphone back on me as opposed to in the engine bay, where you can hear all sorts of things going on. Quite fascinating, but let's carry on. Okie dokie. off on the way again after some experimenting. Now you're listening to my voice again. This is just such a lovely drive to take a car on. Honestly, find some roads near you. You got a Mark 1 Focus, you need to find some roads, because you can't have a true ownership experience unless you do something like this. And it really does need to be done. Oh goodness me, I'm going straight up a steep hill. This is a really steep hill, and I'm doing 3,000 RPM and it won't rev anymore at 40 miles an hour. That is a steep hill. Ooh, fun. Bouncing, hopping and skipping. That's what the suspension on a Mark 1 should actually feel like. It should feel like it's hopping and skipping and just jumping all over the place in a controlled manner, in a delightfully smooth manner. Go down a little village called Beerley in Worcestershire. Beautiful little village. This is where it gets a little bit raucous here again. There we go. Yeah, most of you will know from probably the late 90s, early noughties, if you were ever into PlayStation, Colin McRae Rally was the thing to play. And as always, I seem to get drawn to the Mark 1 Focus. Of course, naturally, it was the car on the cover. I had to drive a Focus most of the time. Drove a Subaru sometimes, but mainly a Focus. And it's those things that create a massive amount of nostalgia, and the Mark 1 has definitely been helped by not the fact that it was just driven by Colin McRae, but it almost won a World Rally Championship. If it wasn't for one certain crash, it would have done, 100%. Do you need some assistance? Well, I thought I'd cut this off because I did do an exit to this video, but unfortunately the wireless mic wasn't, well, it decided to disconnect itself. I hope you enjoyed this video on this wonderful car. I do go on about repairs, recommissioning, restoration when I talk about Mark 1s and how to do this and how to do that. That's fantastic. But the reason that I do this and the reason that you should be doing this is to be able to do this. If you're not doing this, driving them and enjoying them, well, you're not going to enjoy them. If you're not driving them, I don't think you're going to enjoy them, because half the point in a Mark 1 is that it's the ultimate driver's car, and it should be cherished and enjoyed because you spent your hard worked money on the car, getting it righted, and this is what you need to do. And it's all good going to shows as well, but really going to shows is great, but doing this, there's nothing that beats this. I have thoroughly enjoyed myself this morning, apart from messing with this damn camera. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please appreciate the effort that's gone into this, because it takes a lot of doing, changing camera angles and messing about with bits and pieces. It's all good doing it in the edit, but doing it in real life actually can be quite dangerous if you're doing it by yourself, believe you me. Anyway, you take care guys. I shall see you in another episode. Good health. What did I say that for?